And we take Pro Night. Our athletes, our fighters take Pro Night. It's a great nighttime supplement to help recovery. Protein, great, and it's only 2 grams of carbohydrate per serving. So very low, doesn't gain the fighter's weight.
In California, we got Madison Square Garden. How do you see Amir Khan versus Terence Crawford Saturday night?
It's a good fight. Great deal of respect for both fighters. Should be a good win for Crawford. I think he wins in convincing fashion.
Leonard, Bob said last week that if Crawford were to get the victory against Khan, that his next call is going to be Al Haymon to get the Spence Crawford fight done. Did you?
He said what?
He said his first call is going to be to Al Haymon to get the Spence Crawford fight.
Okay.
I guess I was going to ask what's your reaction. Did you start laughing?
I really don't really have a reaction. What does that mean? I mean, it's like.
Is that not the first step to getting closer for that fight?
Well, I don't know. Earl has business to take care of right in front of him. I mean, do I have to name the guys that are right there in his house, in his stable, that he can make a fight and he ain't got to call nobody and argue with them? We all know what the problem is. I ain't going to call it a problem because it's not a problem that I have. It's not a problem that Al has. That's their problem. They cannot deliver a big fight for Terence Crawford or Lomachenko. That's what it is, period and point blank. So all this masquerading around, talking about I'm gonna do this and that's just Bob just doing Bob. And it's okay. He's a great promoter and he's made a great living and built a great company by doing those kind of things. But that shit is old. This is, that's prehistoric stuff. I mean, the yelling, screaming, ranting, and raving, that shit don't mean nothing in 2019. Nobody's even listening, other than the 10 or 12 people that's right there in front of them. I mean, the fighters have a voice, they have the platform, and they're very, very intelligent. So you can't even trick the public anymore with any of that nonsense. I mean, he knows what it is. He knows that a Crawford-Spence fight is not getting ready to happen anytime soon.
Is it a business?
Errol Spence has a plethora of options right in front of him, one by one by one. And I mean, we're going to see how all this shit shakes out at the end. Danny feels as though he's the best welterweight. He lost 2 close decisions, obviously, to Keith and to Sean. Sean thinks he's the best guy that's out there. All this shit's getting ready to show up sooner than later. If Terence happens to be the last guy standing, I'm sure eventually that's what it comes down to. Those 2 guys will fight. But in the immediate future, what's going on right now in 2019, Errol Spence has a number of options. He's a boss. Each and every one of the welterweights, they think they're the best. We soon going to find out who is the best. Terence Crawford thinks he's the best, but the difference is Terence don't have those options. And it's unfortunate. I feel bad for the kid. He's a nice guy, a great fighter, but it's just, it's just unfortunate that he's not going to be in any of these big fights in the immediate future. Because I know what the plans are for these guys that I just mentioned, and Manny Pacquiao in that mix too. These guys are going to be fighting each other. They're all big fights. I mean, we've seen Keith on big platforms doing 5 million, 4.2 million, whether it be CBS or NBC. We've seen Errol Spence on Fox. I think it was Fox. He did 6 million. These are big platforms that the guys have options, and the fights are right in front of them. They don't have to argue with nobody about nothing. It's one phone call. They're talking to the same guy, and that's Al.
So, Mike, I guess my question is, you said he does have all these options, which I want to see all these options. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see these options by the end of the year? Because like you said,
well, I wouldn't say the end of the year because it takes time to make fights, but I think this year you will see these guys mixing it up. I mean, you'll see Earl in a big fight with one of these guys in his very next fight. You'll see Manny Pacquiao in a fight with somebody. You'll see Keith Thurman in a fight with somebody. You
But
see
somebody meaning one of
if Danny wins, you'll see him in a big fight. Where's Adrian at? If Adrian pulls off the upset, you're gonna see him in the mix. Again, getting back to Granados. Granados was talking to me a while ago about fighting Keith Thurman. You know?
With all these matchups, potential matchups, you could potentially have the welterweight in a stranglehold, the welterweight division in a stranglehold for 4 years, maybe even 5 years, just with those names by themselves if they fight 2 times.
I wouldn't call it a stranglehold. I mean, it's just business.
Would it be a business strategy to lock Terrence Crawford out of that?
No, nobody's looking to do any of that. I mean, he's a tremendous fighter who we all have a great deal of respect for, right? This is business. These are fights that we can make right away. It ain't got to argue with nobody about nothing. And they're all big fights.